Well, tomorrow is Holocaust Memorial Day, a time to remember the millions of Jews who died at the hands of the Nazi regime. But one pensioner from Eastbourne lived through it, and her story is dramatic. It even has a soundtrack to go with it. It's not every day a former pop star visits your school. Dorrit Oliver Wolf has come to St Paul's Catholic College in Burgess Hill to talk about her life. But her journey to get here is extraordinary.
And this was one of the songs that I sang in 1961. That was my first hit.
Her childhood was a world away from the students listening today. Hers is a remarkable tale of war, near death, glitz and glamour. Dorrit was a young Jewish girl, just 5 years old and living in Hungary when the Nazi regime started to spread across Europe.
You know about the Holocaust, and I wish I wouldn't.
Originally from Yugoslavia, Dorrit and her family fled Belgrade when war broke out. But they were split up, and she and her mother found themselves in Hungary.
When you were running and hiding from the Germans, where was your father? Did you ever know?
My father was taken into a forced labor camp where they were hacking stones. I don't think my father even had a duster in his hand ever before. By the time he was 30, he was worked to death.
Dorrit and her mother spent the entire war in Hungary, where anti-Semitism was rife.
One day we were walking to a park. Budapest is full of beautiful parks. And when a big fat blonde woman crossed the road, looking me straight, walking towards me like that, and I was a tiny little girlie, she spat in my eyes and called me Büdös Zsidó, which means stinking Jew. And I didn't understand how you assimilate stinking Jew. Why do I have to be stinking if you are Jewish?
There was mounting hatred towards the Jewish people. Millions were sent to concentration camps, so Dorrit's mother decided they would hide the fact they were Jews.
My mother refused to wear, or let us wear, the Yellow Star of David because my mother suddenly reinvented herself and became a Red Cross nurse. But that was a very good disguise, if you like.
Constantly on the run and in fear of being found out, they moved from house to house. But a neighbour realised Dorrit was Jewish, and one day while her mother was at work, she was caught and put into a sorting house for concentration camps. She spent over 2 months there on her own.
One lady there, I don't remember her name, at night, when I was crying because I missed my mum, she would take me into her arms and she comforted me. And one day, they took her as well because the soldiers used to come in and you, and they went and they never came back. She never came back.
With the help of a guard, Dorrit escaped and was reunited with her mother. They fled to another city in Hungary, Pécs, not knowing that the Nazis had captured thousands of Jews there, and they were soon arrested. While her mother was questioned, Dorrit confronted her captors.
I got up, went to the desk, pointed at the photo frame. "Are these your children?" And he said, "Yes, they are my 2 daughters. They must be the same age as you are." Oh. And then I said to him, "Are you going to hurt my mummy?" He said, "Scheiße." He went around, beckoned my mother out. He said, "Come here." And she says, "Not all of us Germans are nasty swines." And this is why I try to believe that there must be a little bit of good in people. And I like to believe that not every person who sent these people to the gas chamber enjoyed it.
Having narrowly escaped death twice, Dorrit's ordeal wasn't over. As a homeless refugee who'd had little food, when the war ended, 9-year-old Dorrit weighed less than 3 stone. But it was singing that kept her going.
When I was afraid and I was alone, hidden somewhere, I sang. And when I was hungry, I would invent and sing songs. And all I ever wanted to do is really become a singer one day.
Oh, yes.
After the war, Dorrit went on to study at the University of Munich, where she sang in jazz clubs. She was discovered by the North German Broadcasting Company and was signed to a record label. Suddenly, Germany couldn't get enough of her.
On a nice blue autumn weekend.
Many of the young German Air Force had me as a pin-up in their lockers, and everywhere was my picture, and I thought, my hand, do they know that I'm Jewish? It was a funny feeling, you know, but it was the day I became their pin-up.
And as their pin-up, Dorrit was invited to sing at a concert for the airmen and their families.
I peeked through the curtains. The women had the most elegant evening dresses on, but the gentlemen had the uniforms on. I thought I'm not going to be able, because suddenly it was not the audience anymore. There were the German soldiers there. And as a finale, I said, now I'm going to choose a very special song for me, which is Hava Nagila, which is a Hebrew song. They all got up and sang the song and clapped their hands. And I just had this amazing feeling of triumph. And when I sang, and I remember putting my arms up and thinking, I made it. You didn't manage to kill me. You killed all my family. But you made me a star. That was, I think, one of the most remarkable and memorable shows I ever had.
Dorrit moved to England with her husband in 1962. She was convinced she would have the freedom to live the life she chose here, and also the freedom to tell her story.
It was just generally really interesting to hear about how someone can survive something like that.
She didn't have any anger about it. She more or less was more passionate about it and her experiences, and I thought she spoke really well.
Dorrit's written her memoirs, and she hopes they can serve as a reminder of a chapter of history she thinks should never be forgotten.
I just feel that there are so many people that I would like to tell them, look, there am I went through this, and I have seen that. But there is life after it. Make the best of it that you can. It's not that I want to remember, believe me. I just cannot forget.
Now, if you want any more information about tonight's show, you can visit our Kent or Sussex websites, and you can watch the show again on iPlayer if you go to bbc.co.uk/insideout. Coming up next week. Regenerating Hastings. Is the council being firm and fair?
Who are you going to call? Call Grotbusters. And so that's the name, and it's stuck, and people know it as Grotbusters, and it's a very popular project in the town.
Unfortunately, the human cost of it is always overlooked somewhat. And in this case, people are literally losing their homes.
Celebrating 100 years of the WI.
They used to borrow horses from a farmer and move on to the next village, send that horse back and borrow another horse and move on to the next village. And it just went like wildfire. Within no time at all, we've got a huge number in every single village.
And outrage at plans to build a new town in the Sussex countryside.
If they want to build a few houses here, fine, but 10,000? No.
You can't fit any more people in this area. It's madness.
That's it from us for tonight from Hever Castle. Thank you for watching. See you next week.